That doesn't work. Hey guys, I am here to show you something somebody asked me about on the Quiltville Facebook group when I was talking about my 2016, I guess going into 2017, Bonnie Hunter Quiltville Mystery Quilt Along the En Provence uh, quilt, and I said how I put it all together and I webbed it, and somebody said, what do you mean by webbed it? So I'm going to show that. These are all the pieces I need for one block in the En Provence quilt, and so I'm going to lay them out now. Centerpiece, I'm not doing a 4-patch, I'm doing a plain, and then these half square triangles go in the corner. You can find this pattern at Bonnie Hunter's at her website, quiltville.com. It's free right now, and I think it will be for sale later. So I'm just going to lay these out. I've done a bunch of these, so I kind of know how they're supposed to go now, and I'm trying to mix up the prints. Across the whole block. Okay. Purple goes in the middle. See what these look like. Yellow is next. And then these dark purple, lavender 4 patches, I'm doing backwards. I'm going to make a chain of lavender, not a chain of the dark purple, because my whole quilt is pretty dark, so I thought I would flip that. Let's just start throwing them in. I'm going to throw them all in, and then I'm going to move them around, essentially, just to get everything kind of spread out. I know I don't want that there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna switch these two. These are touching here. That's not gonna fly. Might be okay if I turn it this way. I'm not sweating this. I'm just trying to do the most spread out I can of the different scrap fabrics. I actually have my 4 patches are really scrappy. My half square triangles and my trirex are really not so scrappy. So I'm just trying to get them spread around across especially across the whole quilt. Because I made this quilt entirely from scratch. Didn't buy a thing for the project. I don't like that being there. Yeah, that's better. I have a lot of this print right now. Oh well, I'm just grabbing them off the top essentially of my stack. So I'm going to start up at the top left corner, and I picked up the top left and I flipped over the next one to the right, flipped it over like this, and I'm going to sew in this seam here. And I'm going to continue down here doing this exact same thing. Chain piecing. Don't mind my extra width in that seam allowance. I got crazy with the cutting, and no one's gonna know when it's done, so I didn't worry about it. Okay, I got through the entire top to bottom, and I'm just going to cut, go back to the top, and open them out. Now I'm going to take this next one, the one that's next to the right, and flip it over, the one that it needs to get sewn to. I'm lucky my little table here is exactly the right size for this 15-inch block to be laid out. But a lot of people made little boards covered in flannel or batting or things like that so they could carry it near them, but I just am doing it here. And opening, taking the next, just left to right. If you're just careful, turning in exactly the right way, this whole thing is going to turn into a giant web. Okay, that's the entire block all together in a giant web. That's why it's called webbing. And the next thing I'm going to do is I like to pin them all in place in advance. I could do it between each row. So I guess it goes this way. Yes. It doesn't really matter. They're all going to go together the same. So all of these are going to get sewn to these, but they're already connected. Everything's exactly where it should be, and facing the right direction and everything. So I'm going to get to pinning. Now for me, I always need to nest these seams together, and I usually end up with a twist in the seam here, but I don't mind that. I'm more interested in precise intersections than I am in invested in pressing any which particular way. I got these pins. I love them. I got these pins in a recent back quarter shop, so sampler box. They're sharp, they're glass-headed, and they are small. And they are strong. I have some other glass-headed pins that are not strong. These are great. I'm just going to flip to the next seam, straighten it. Now I can start sewing them. That's it. The whole thing came together like that. And once I laid it out, I didn't really have to sweat it. That is why I chose to web these blocks. Thanks for joining me, and happy quilting!